Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. God's chosen ones. What if I told you that the exact month you were born wasn't just a detail, but a divine message, a sacred code hidden in plain sight, carefully woven into your very existence? You were not born on accident, not by luck, and certainly not by coincidence. You came into this world at a divinely appointed time, a moment in history that heaven marked long before your earthly journey began. You see, many people look to the stars, to personality tests, or to random signs for answers. But what if the truth has been quietly inscribed in your birth month all along? What if the timing of your arrival is part of God's personal conversation with your soul? A conversation that began before you could speak and is still unfolding even now. Chosen ones do not enter this world without purpose. You were sent here with spiritual instructions encrypted into the timeline of your life and the month you were born into. It holds clues, holy ones. Each month carries a prophetic energy, a divine theme, a unique spiritual fingerprint. And when you begin to understand the meaning of your birth month through the lens of Scripture, everything begins to shift. Your identity, your spiritual gifts, your battles, and even your emotions begin to make more sense. Before we go deeper, I want to take a sacred moment to thank each of you who have supported this mission through Super Thanks. Your generosity is more than financial. It is a spiritual offering, and may God return it to you pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Even if you haven't donated, just being here, sharing this moment, is an honor. You are part of this divine community, and your presence matters deeply. And if something inside you is already stirring, if something whispers, "This is for me," then comment 777 right now. Let the heavens see your confirmation, because I believe this message has found you right on time. So let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why you carry certain feelings more deeply than others? Why you sense things no one else mentions? Why you've always known, deep down, that you're different? Not in a prideful way, but in a set-apart kind of way. The answers may have been waiting in the month you were born. Stay with me, because in just a moment, we're going to uncover the divine blueprint God placed in your timeline. This may be the very revelation your spirit has been quietly searching for, the one that explains your gifts, your struggles, your anointing, and your divine calling. Are you ready to discover what your birth month reveals about the sacred mission that only you can fulfill? God's chosen ones, what does your birth month reveal in the Bible about your divine calling? The initiators. You were not born in just any season. You arrived at the dawn of the year, when time itself exhales a fresh breath and resets its rhythm. January is the divine entrance, the threshold that separates what was from what can be. Those born in this month were not randomly placed here. You were divinely scheduled to arrive first, to walk ahead of others, and to spark motion where there was none. But have you ever paused and asked yourself, why do I always seem to be the one who begins? Why does the path feel unfamiliar, as if I'm the one creating it? This is because you are one of God's initiators. You are the chosen vessel to start things others cannot even imagine. Like Moses, who stepped forward to confront Pharaoh when everyone else trembled, Exodus 3:10-12. You're sent to challenge the old systems and open new paths. You carry within you the divine energy of Genesis 1:1. To in the beginning, God created. You were born to bring life where there was void, to bring structure where there was only chaos. That isn't just symbolic, it's a spiritual reality written into your soul. Your life is a living echo of the truth found in Isaiah 43:19. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? You often sense change before others do. But isn't it interesting how this knowing often isolates you? Being first isn't always glamorous. It's often lonely. Have you noticed how many times you've had to trust your instinct while everyone around you stayed still? That's because your instinct is not just intuition, it's revelation. You lead not because you want to be seen, but because your spirit refuses to remain still in darkness. While others wait for instructions, you carry the blueprint. When others stall, your soul begins to build. And this leadership isn't loud or forceful, it's transformative. You move people not with commands, but with conviction. Just as Nehemiah rebuilt Jerusalem's wall with determination while facing mockery and sabotage, Nehemiah 4:6-9, you too are called to build with one hand while defending your mission with the other. Do you ever feel the pressure to always be strong, to take the first step when no one else dares? That's not just personality, it's prophecy. You were called for this. Consider Oprah Winfrey, born in January, who rose from poverty and abuse to become a global voice of inspiration and change. Though not without struggle, her entire life has been about initiating movements, whether in media, education, or emotional healing. Her journey mirrors what many January-born chosen ones experience, a calling to challenge systems, to break silence, and to be the first voice when others stay quiet. And yet, even with this strength, you may wrestle with the weight of it all. Why does responsibility always seem to find you? Why do others turn to you in chaos, even when you don't have all the answers? The truth is, you don't need to have all the answers. You simply need the courage to take the first step. Like Abraham, who obeyed God and set out, even though he did not know where he was going. Hebrews 11:8. You are called to walk by faith, not by sight. There is something sacred about your timing. Your birth month aligns with God's pattern of using the beginning to reveal His plan. That's why, even when you feel lost, the Spirit within you keeps whispering, "Start anyway." And when you start, others follow. So ask yourself this: what cycle have you been assigned to break? What tradition have you been chosen to challenge? You're not here by accident. You are the announcement of a new era in your family, your community, and even in your generation. Where others see only endings, you see possibility. Where others stay silent, you speak truth. And where others stand still, you take the first faithful step. The Peacemakers. Though February is the shortest month of the year, your presence born within it carries one of the deepest spiritual assignments, the calling of the peacemaker. You were not sent into the world to dominate, to debate, or to overwhelm, but to restore balance in places where chaos has left its mark. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is the very evidence of your anointing. Have you ever wondered why people so often come to you when they're broken, even if they barely know you? Why your silence calms them more than someone else's advice? That's because your spirit carries the fragrance of peace. You are God's chosen balm in a world that has forgotten how to be still. In Matthew 5:9, Jesus declared, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God." That's not just a blessing, it's a confirmation of your identity. Those born in February often feel deeply before they can even explain what they're sensing. You may walk into a room and immediately pick up on the tension, the sorrow, or the unspoken wounds. That is not emotional instability. It's divine discernment. Your heart is not just open. It is trained by heaven to respond in love before reacting in judgment. Spiritually, February carries the memory of Jesus being presented in the temple, Luke 2:22-38, a sacred moment of consecration. In that scene, we meet Simeon and Anna, two elderly prophets who had waited their entire lives to see the Redeemer. And when they saw the infant Jesus, they rejoiced, not with noise, but with peace. Isn't it beautiful how some of the most prophetic revelations come in the quietest moments? You were set apart just like that. Your mission is not flashy, but it is holy. You are not called to shout over crowds, but to stand in the gap between opposing forces, between anger and forgiveness, fear and comfort, despair and hope. And have you noticed how your mere presence can disarm even the most anxious souls? That's because you carry what Philippians 4:7 calls the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. Let's take a look at someone from modern times who reflects this spiritual temperament. Bob Marley, the iconic Jamaican singer and global voice for peace and justice, was born in February. His message transcended music. He once said, "One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right." Even through rhythms and lyrics, he carried the energy of reconciliation. Like you, his influence wasn't about volume, it was about vibration. You may not use music, but your life sings peace. But let me ask you, why do you think it sometimes feels like you carry other people's pain more than your own? Why does your spirit feel heavy after simply listening to someone else's problems? It's because you don't just hear people, you absorb. And this is why you must protect your peace while still sharing it. Your light was never meant to burn out. It was meant to guide others back to warmth. You were divinely designed to be a bridge between conflict and calm, between noise and stillness, between restlessness and reassurance. And often you do this with no grand gestures. A look, a word, a kind silence, it's enough. You comfort without demanding attention. Your ministry happens in hospital rooms, in quiet corners of the home, in the middle of arguments where your voice brings clarity without force. In Romans 12:18, Paul writes, "If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone." That verse lives in your bones, and though the world around you may crave power, God calls you to remain soft, but never weak, to stay open, but never exposed. You are not meant to fight every battle. You are meant to soothe the aftermath. So remember this, chosen one. You may not be able to change the whole world, but you are called to bring peace to the part of the world you touch. Your light may not make noise, but its glow is what transforms the darkest places. You're not forgotten. You're not invisible. Heaven sees you because heaven sent you for such a time as this. The Navigators. March is more than just a month of shifting seasons. It is a spiritual threshold, a divine transition point where endings and beginnings meet. Being born in March means you were sent into the world during a time of passage. But did you ever stop to ask yourself, why does my life often feel like I'm crossing from one storm into another? Why do I seem to carry a resilience that surprises even me? The answer is simple. You are one of God's navigators. You were chosen to move through spiritual turbulence, to travel uncharted waters, and to guide others to safety when the map no longer makes sense. March, in the biblical sense, reflects the movement of God's people, from bondage to promise, from flood to renewal, from darkness to transformation. Spiritually, you are not just a survivor, you are a stabilizer. This divine calling is not for the faint-hearted. You were designed to obey when the path is unclear. Your obedience is not loud or performative. It is quiet, loyal, and persistent. Like Noah, who built the ark amidst ridicule and uncertainty, Genesis 6:9 through 22. You continue to follow God's direction, even when no one else believes in the vision. You don't need to be reassured by applause. You act because you've heard God speak, even when the world is screaming the opposite. Isn't it strange how you can feel peace even in the middle of your pain? That's because your trials are not signs of punishment. They are tools of preparation. James 1:12 declares, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised." You are not being broken, you are being built. What others call misfortune, heaven calls training. And let's be honest, how many times have you endured the storm, not just for yourself but for those around you? Your soul is like an anchor, you don't sway easily. When others drift or lose control, you stand firm. Your presence becomes a shelter. This isn't something you learned, it's something you were born with. The calling on your life isn't always glamorous. It often means carrying weight in silence. But you were never meant to avoid the rain. You were created to walk through it and prove that faith still works. You are a living echo of Psalm 46, 1-2. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way. You might wonder, why do I keep being placed in roles where I must hold everything together? Why is it that in moments of crisis, others instinctively lean on me? It's because your spirit carries the blueprint for calm. You don't just go through storms, you chart paths through them. And others sense that, even if they can't put it into words. Look at Albert Einstein, one of history's most brilliant minds, born in March. While he is often remembered for science, what's lesser known is the internal chaos and isolation he endured. He once said, "In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity." His ability to remain steady, even while thinking differently from everyone around him, mirrors the spiritual strength March-born chosen ones embody. Like you, he didn't allow the storm of misunderstanding to sink his purpose. Your mission may not be to explain every storm, but to walk through it with unwavering faith and show others it can be done. You are not meant to shout, "Follow me." You simply walk, and others follow your peace. In a world that often drifts, you are a compass. When others feel lost, your obedience becomes their map back to God. So here's the truth. March is not light, and your life may not have been either, but neither were you meant to be fragile. You were made to carry, to endure, to navigate. You are the proof that steadfastness is still a spiritual gift. Your testimony is not one of ease, but of endurance. You are the quiet strength that reminds the world, even in the rain, God still walks with us. The reborn. You were not just born in April, you were born in the season of resurrection. Spiritually, April is a divine symbol of rebirth, of rising again when all seems lost, of proving that endings are never final when God is still moving. Your life was never meant to follow the typical path. You were called to be the reborn, a living testimony that new beginnings are not just possible, but divinely appointed. Have you ever wondered why so many of your breakthroughs came after something broke? Why it feels like your life keeps being rewritten from places others thought were ruins? That's not coincidence. It's your calling. You were chosen to walk in the footsteps of resurrection itself. Just as Jesus rose from the dead on the third day, you too rise, again and again. Not only for yourself, but for those around you who have forgotten how to hope. April-born chosen ones are marked by a sacred stubbornness, an unshakable belief that no matter how bad things look, God is not finished. Even when your body grows tired and your mind is weary, your soul refuses to surrender. Why? Because your spirit carries what Romans 8:11 reveals. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you. That is not a metaphor, it is your spiritual reality. But the power in your story is not just that you get back up, it's how you do it. You rise with wisdom, you rise with compassion, you rise with authority that only pain and grace can produce together. When others see ashes, you see seeds. When others say, "It's over," your spirit whispers, "It's just beginning." Do you realize the kind of hope you ignite in others just by continuing to move forward? Your presence changes the atmosphere. Where others bring noise, you bring fresh air. Where dreams lie buried, you come and start digging again. Not recklessly, but with divine timing. You are not simply a survivor. You are a restorer. You carry the anointing of Isaiah 61:3, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning. And isn't it true that your most powerful moments have come not when everything was going right, but when everything was falling apart? This is not failure, it's divine strategy. You were sent to show that rebirth is real. That new beginnings don't always come from fresh starts, they come from transformation. From grace meeting grief and saying, "We're not done yet." Take Maya Angelou, for example, a legendary poet, author and civil rights activist born in April. Her life was filled with deep pain, from trauma in childhood to discrimination as an adult. But she rose. She didn't just survive, she used her story to breathe life into others. She once wrote, "We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated." That is the very spirit you carry. You are here to teach others how to live again. But let me ask you something. Have you been hiding your testimony because it feels too broken to be inspiring? Have you overlooked your own journey because you're still waiting for the perfect ending? Don't. Because someone needs your in-process story more than they need your finished one. Your scars preach louder than perfection ever could. Your resilience is someone else's revival. You were not sent to live a stagnant life. You were born to move, to rise, to rebuild. Where others give up, you begin again. Not just for yourself, but to reignite the dreams in others that time, failure, or fear tried to extinguish. You are God's chosen restorer, sent to resurrect what the world declared dead. So keep pressing forward. Your journey doesn't just inspire, it heals. You don't need a pulpit. Your life is the sermon. Your ability to begin again, to find joy in ruins, and to believe when all seems lost. This is the power of the reborn. And every time you rise, you whisper to the world, with God, nothing is ever truly over. The strong in faith. There is something unshakable about your spirit. Being born in May means your soul arrived in the world wrapped in spiritual stability and grounded strength. When others panic, you pause. When storms rise, you stand firm. You were not created to be swept away by chaos. You were designed to be a shelter in it. Have you noticed how people seem to lean on you even when you never offered? How your quiet strength speaks louder than 1,000 words. You are among the strong in faith. Your foundation isn't built on comfort or certainty, it's built on conviction. You don't just believe when it's easy, you believe when it makes no sense at all. This is why your life resonates with the story of David. In 1 Samuel 17, David faced Goliath not with a sword, but with a stone and unshakable faith. He didn't win by size, but by trust. That same spirit of unwavering confidence lives in you. You walk into intimidating situations, not because you're fearless, but because you're faithful. Your faith is quiet, but it is contagious. You may not always preach, but your actions preach louder than most sermons. You bring calm into spaces where anxiety tries to reign. You are the kind of person who listens more than you speak, and yet, when you do speak, your words anchor others. There's a natural harmony in your presence, a spiritual rhythm that balances those who've lost their pace. And yet, have you ever asked yourself why you're always the one people turn to when they're lost or afraid? Why you're expected to stay strong even when you're quietly breaking inside? It's because God trusted you with something rare, sustaining faith, the kind that doesn't collapse under pressure. Isaiah 26:3 speaks to your anointing. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. There's a quiet warrior inside of you, not the kind who fights loudly, but the one who holds the line when others fall back. You don't lead by command, you lead by example. When others doubt, you remain steady. When they scatter, you stay. Even when your own heart is aching, you still reach out, still encourage, still support. That is not weakness, that is sacred strength. You were born with the ability to speak truth with gentleness, to correct with grace, and to lead without dominating. That is a rare spiritual gift in a world obsessed with control. Your very presence is a reminder that strength doesn't have to shout. It can stand quietly, confidently, full of peace. Psalm 112:7 was written for you. They will have no fear of bad news. Their hearts are steadfast, trusting in the Lord. Consider Audrey Hepburn, born in May. Though remembered as a film icon, she became a UNICEF ambassador later in life, bringing calm, compassion, and resilience to war-torn nations. She once said, "As you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself, the other for helping others." Her life mirrors yours. You are the kind of person who holds others up, even when your own strength is being tested. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you let someone see your weakness? Or are you so used to being the strong one that you've forgotten how to receive? Your mission is not to carry the world alone. Remember, even Jesus leaned on Simon of Cyrene to carry the cross for a moment. Luke 23:26. Even warriors need rest. Even anchors need grounding. Still, your calling remains radiant. You are here to keep faith alive, not only for yourself, but for everyone connected to your life. Where there is fear, you bring confidence. Where there is doubt, you become a reminder of what it means to stand on God's promises. You are a warrior of faith, not because you never feel weak, but because you choose to believe even when you do. So keep standing, keep speaking peace, keep walking in truth. You may not always see the seeds you plant, but every word of encouragement, every act of stability is watering someone else's weary soul. And that is your gift. You don't just carry faith, you spread it. The builders of hope. You were born with the mind of a builder and the heart of a planner. Being born in June marks you as one of the builders of hope, those uniquely crafted by God to lay foundations that will endure long after others have forgotten who laid the first stone. Your mission isn't about recognition, it's about legacy. It's about quietly constructing what others will one day stand upon. Have you noticed how often you find yourself laying the groundwork for others' success? How you instinctively seek depth and structure even when others only see the surface? This isn't just personality, it's divine design. You are spiritually wired to create what lasts. Jesus spoke of this when he said in Matthew 7:24, "Therefore everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock." That parable echoes through your very being. You were born to build on rock, not sand. Your patience is your superpower. While the world chases quick results, you focus on lasting impact. You're not driven by the spotlight, and you don't need applause to keep going. Why? Because your reward is in the work itself. The slow, steady, intentional work of shaping lives, strengthening relationships, and building dreams that won't collapse under pressure. Isn't it fascinating how your quiet presence can bring so much stability to those around you? People trust you, not because you speak the loudest, but because your actions are consistent, your truth is measured, your loyalty is unwavering, and your vision is grounded. Proverbs 24:3-4 reflects your divine nature. By wisdom, a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge, its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. That's exactly what you do, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and relationally. And have you ever wondered why so many people come to you when they're ready to start something serious? Whether it's launching a ministry, planning a future, or restoring a broken life, your presence offers them something more than just advice. You offer them structure. You see what others can't. The blueprint beneath the surface, the cracks that need fixing, and the potential waiting to be shaped. Frank Lloyd Wright, one of the most influential architects in modern history, was born in June. Known for harmonizing structures with their natural surroundings, he once said, The mother art is architecture. Without an architecture of our own, we have no soul of our own civilization. Like right, you don't just build buildings, you build meaning. Whether through words, work or wisdom, your gift lies in making the invisible visible and giving form to the future. You are not impulsive. You are not shallow. You are strategic, and God has called you to be a spiritual architect. You may not always be understood, especially by those who rush through life without a plan, but you were never meant to build what's popular. You were meant to build what endures. You hold in your spirit the conviction of Nehemiah, who rebuilt the wall of Jerusalem not through noise, but through determination, prayer, and focus. Nehemiah 2-6. Even when others doubted, he pressed on, just like you. So let me ask, are you honoring the blueprint God has placed in your heart? Or are you second-guessing your slow and steady process because the world praises speed over strength? Don't rush. What you are building is not just for now, it's for generations. Your legacy is not in fleeting moments, it's in the foundation, and foundations matter more than most people realize. You were born to prepare the ground others will walk on. You are the one who silently lays brick after brick, knowing that someone else's destiny may depend on the strength of your work. That's why your life may feel heavy at times. You're not just carrying your own story. You're carrying space for others to stand and flourish. Keep building, chosen one. Your mission is sacred. You may not always be seen, but your work will stand. When others collapse under pressure, what you've built will remain. You are the stabilizer, the hidden strength, the quiet architect of kingdom purpose. Don't stop, because one day many will walk safely because of the roads you've paved today in faith. The questioners of living faith. You were born under the sacred mantle of inquiry. July carries the spirit of the seekers, those chosen not to blindly accept what they're told, but to chase truth with a relentless fire. You are one of the questioners of living faith, and your questions are not signs of rebellion or doubt. They are the tools God placed in your soul to uncover deeper meaning and revelation. Have you ever felt like surface answers never satisfy you? Like something inside you constantly asks, but what does this really mean? That inner voice is not noise, it's discernment. While others may fear questions, you understand that every true revelation begins with one. Like Thomas, the disciple who needed to touch Jesus' wounds to believe. John 20:24-29. You too seek truth not for comfort, but for connection. And just as Jesus did not condemn Thomas, God does not dismiss your questions. He honors them, because they are your path to intimacy with Him. Your spirit was not made for shallow faith. You were born with a thirst for something real, something raw, something that can stand the test of pain, logic, and time. Proverbs 25:2 says, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter. To search out a matter is the glory of kings." You walk in that royal glory. You are not content to live on borrowed beliefs. You need to see, to touch, to wrestle with truth, because you were called to carry faith that is fully alive, fully tested, and fully yours. People may have misunderstood you. Perhaps they labeled your intensity as rebellion or said your questions were dangerous. But the truth is, your soul simply refuses to settle, and that very refusal is your calling. You are the one who helps others rise above spiritual autopilot. When they speak with you, they feel safe to ask the hard questions. You create space for curiosity without judgment, and in doing so, you lead them closer to God, not by force, but by authenticity. Have you noticed how often people open up to you in deep ways, even without planning to? It's because your presence gives permission, your honesty liberates others, your sensitivity becomes their mirror. You carry a rare balance between intellect and compassion, a sacred tension that inspires reflection instead of fear. Jesus himself often taught with questions. "Who do you say I am?" he asked Peter. "Do you want to be healed?" he asked the man at the pool. "Why are you so afraid?" he asked the storm-struck disciples. You walk in this same prophetic pattern. You ask not to stir doubt, but to awaken truth. You help others see what they've been too afraid or too numb to notice. A beautiful example of someone born in July who embodied this mission is Nelson Mandela, a freedom fighter, prisoner, and eventually the president of South Africa. Mandela never stopped asking hard questions about justice, human dignity, and reconciliation. He once said, "I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying." Like you, he challenged shallow systems and inspired deeper truth, not with force, but with patient, passionate conviction. But here's a question for you. Have you embraced your own role as a spiritual guide? Or have you been shrinking your voice to avoid being too much? Have you silenced your questions to fit in? Don't. Your questions are keys. Keys that open locked doors in hearts, in faith journeys, and even in theology. You were never meant to fit into shallow waters. You were created to swim in the deep. You are a lighthouse for those wandering through spiritual fog. You don't lead by yelling from the shore. You shine from within, steady and true. And because of that, people begin to ask their own questions. Their faith deepens. Their vision clears. All because you dared to ask first. So keep seeking, keep probing, keep questioning. Your mission isn't to destroy faith, it's to revive it. You don't impose answers, you awaken them. Your soul carries a holy curiosity, and your life is proof that faith does not fear inquiry. Faith invites it, because when people begin to ask why, they finally make room for the one who is the way, the truth, and the life. John 14:6. The seekers of the sacred. There is a divine restlessness in your soul, a holy hunger that refuses to be filled by the temporary. If you were born in August, then your spirit was designed for more than survival. You are one of the seekers of the sacred, the chosen ones, who are not satisfied with surface-level living. You crave depth, meaning, truth, and your soul only finds peace when it draws near to the eternal. Have you ever wondered why the world often feels too shallow for you? Why small talk drains you, but deep conversations light you up? That's because you were not called to swim in the shallow end of life. Your soul was crafted to reach upward, to explore the unseen, to bridge the gap between earth and heaven. While others look for distractions, you look for revelation. Your longing is not a flaw, it is your compass guiding you toward the divine. Your life reflects the moment of transfiguration when Jesus took Peter, James, and John up the mountain and revealed his divine glory. Matthew 17:1-2. That moment wasn't just a miracle, it was a revelation of the sacred in human form. And just like that, your presence carries a message. There is more. There is a realm beyond what eyes can see and ears can hear. You are a living reminder that the spiritual world is not a myth. It is a reality. Your discernment is sharp. You sense things others overlook. When people speak, you hear their soul more than their words. You are the one who walks into a room and immediately feels the spiritual temperature. And that's not imagination, it's spiritual sensitivity. 1 Corinthians 2:10 speaks to you. The Spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God. You walk in that same Spirit, constantly seeking the deeper meaning behind what seems ordinary. Even your gaze carries weight. It penetrates. It sees past performance. When others are content with appearances, you are already seeking the essence. This ability can make you feel like an outsider, but in truth, it marks you as a guide. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to awaken others. You don't accept autopilot living. You question routines. You challenge comfort zones. Not to criticize, but to elevate. You understand that life without sacred pursuit is empty, and you refuse to live disconnected from purpose. When people encounter you, they often find themselves questioning things they've ignored for years, and that's the beauty of your mission. Your life alone becomes a sermon, and your choices silently provoke transformation. Look at Mother Teresa, born in August, a woman who carried the sacred into the streets of Calcutta. Her hands touched lepers, her words comforted the dying, and her faith pointed every gaze upward. She once said, "We're not called to be successful, but faithful." In those few words is the heart of your calling. You are not here to impress the world. You're here to reconnect it with God. But let me ask you this. Have you been downplaying your sensitivity, hiding your longing for something deeper because others don't understand it? Don't. Your hunger is holy. It is that very hunger that awakens the thirst in others. The world needs people who can lift their eyes above the noise, who can say, "Look beyond this, there is more." You are a bridge between the visible and the invisible, between daily life and divine presence, between a distracted world and a present God. Your voice doesn't need to be loud. Your very existence speaks. And when you live in alignment with the sacred, you naturally draw others to higher places. Colossians 3:2 says, "Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." That is your assignment, to elevate gazes. So keep seeking, keep pressing deeper, keep asking questions that lead people to eternal truth. You may not always have the answers, but your life invites the question, what if there is more? And in a world desperate for meaning, you are the one called to carry the sacred into the everyday and point every wandering soul back to the one who truly satisfies. The organizers of the kingdom, there is a divine blueprint etched into your soul. If you were born in September, you were chosen to bring structure where others see only mess. You are one of the organizers of the kingdom, the ones anointed not only to see what is out of place, but to gently and wisely restore divine alignment. Your calling is not loud, but it is strategic. Have you ever wondered why you're always the one people turn to when everything starts to unravel? This isn't coincidence, it's your assignment. You were born with the eyes of an architect and the heart of a caretaker. In Genesis 1:2-3, Scripture describes how the earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and God said, "Let there be light." Before anything was created, God first organized. That same spirit rests upon you. You bring order with intention. You build harmony where others only see chaos. Your gift lies in your ability to unite clarity and compassion. You don't just fix problems, you restore peace. When others are overwhelmed by disorder, whether emotional, spiritual, or physical, you quietly step in with insight, patience, and grace. Your presence brings a kind of balance that can't be taught. It's sensed, it's felt, and it's trusted. Have you noticed how people often feel calmer around you, even when you've said very little? It's because your actions speak consistency. Your decisions reflect thoughtfulness. People follow your lead, not because you demand it, but because they recognize something steady in your spirit. Proverbs 3:21 reminds us, "Preserve sound judgment and discretion. They will be life for you." That discretion is your strength. You see what others miss, and you correct with gentleness, never control. Your role is not just functional, it is sacred. The kingdom of God is not only about power and miracles, it is also about order. Paul teaches in 1 Corinthians 14:40, "But everything should be done in a fitting and orderly way." You are the living embodiment of that verse. Whether in a church, a family, a project, or a broken heart, you bring divine arrangement, and your wisdom helps others flourish. Consider Beyoncé, born in September, one of the most disciplined, detail-oriented artists of our time. Behind every performance is precision, structure, and a powerful vision. Her unmatched work ethic and command of her craft have inspired millions. While your calling may look different, the principle is the same: excellence through order. You show the world that beauty without foundation will collapse, but order brings endurance. Let me ask you this. Have you ever silenced your gift because others saw it as too much, too organized, or too intense? Don't dim your light to accommodate chaos. You were born to prepare the ground where greatness will grow. You are not here to stifle spontaneity, but to shape it. Not to control, but to cultivate. Your mission is both practical and deeply spiritual. You organize without stripping away essence. You lead without overpowering. You speak with clarity, yet listen with tenderness. And you correct without humiliation. This balance is rare, and it's needed now more than ever. You are the bridge between disarray and divine purpose. So keep building, keep aligning, keep discerning. You are not just tidying what's messy. You are preparing the atmosphere for God to move. Behind every great revival, every strong ministry, and every breakthrough, there is someone like you, a silent strategist, a spiritual organizer, a faithful vessel of divine design. You are the one entrusted to put things in place, not for the sake of control, but for the sake of creation. Because great things are born where there is order, and God has chosen you to make that space ready, the renewers of the soul. You were born in the season of change, during a time when the earth itself whispers transformation. October is not just a shift in weather, it's a divine symbol. The falling leaves, the cooling air, and the soft fading of sunlight all speak one spiritual truth. To step into the new, something must be released. If you were born in this month, you are one of the renewers of the soul, chosen by God to carry the spirit of transition and to be a vessel for divine renewal. Have you ever noticed how things tend to shift when you enter a room, not because you force it, but because your presence naturally awakens change? You carry the essence of Isaiah 43:19. See, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? That is your life's song. You don't need to shout transformation. You embody it. Your energy speaks even when your mouth is silent. You were created to live in motion, not restless but spiritually fluid. Like the wind of October, you are subtle but undeniable. When others cling to what was, you sense what could be. You were not sent to repeat the past. You were called to break cycles, to usher people into freedom they didn't think they were allowed to have. This is your sacred mission, to move forward, even when it hurts, and teach others to do the same. Have you ever felt burdened by emotional or spiritual weight that didn't seem to belong to you? That's because your spirit picks up on what others carry in silence. You were given sensitivity, not as a weakness, but as a tool. You feel deeply, not to be overwhelmed, but to lead people through their own healing. Your presence says, it's okay to let go now. And isn't it curious how you seem to know when someone is holding on to something too tightly? Whether it's guilt, grief, fear, or regret, your wisdom gently nudges them forward. You do this not by commanding change, but by being it. You are the living reflection of Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. You understand seasons better than most because you are a season of change. You are not afraid to evolve. You welcome reinvention. You don't cling to yesterday's version of yourself, and that courage helps others face what they've feared for too long. Even when the past tries to hold you, you push through it. Not perfectly, but faithfully. And that faith is what teaches others to trust God with their transitions too. Take Mahatma Gandhi, born in October, a man whose presence and message inspired global transformation through nonviolence. He once said, "You must be the change you wish to see in the world." That phrase describes your divine DNA. You don't just talk about renewal, you live it. And in doing so, you give others permission to shed their old layers and step into their next season. But let me ask, have you been resisting your own transformation lately? Have you felt afraid to let go of what's familiar, even though your spirit knows it no longer fits? Don't hold back. You were born for transition. You were chosen to move with grace through endings and to carry faith into beginnings. When you move, you model divine courage for those watching. Your mission is both emotional and spiritual. You bring healing through conversation and reassurance through silence. You don't just speak words, you release people from invisible chains. You understand that transformation is not only loud revival, it is also quiet renewal, the kind that happens in layers, gently but permanently. So don't underestimate your gift. You are not here to keep things as they are. You are here to stir the spirit, to awaken the sleeping soul, and to remind the weary that change is not failure. It is divine progress. Your soul is like October's wind, soft enough to be missed, strong enough to move trees. You were chosen not to conform, but to reform, not to maintain cycles, but to break them, and not to dwell in what was, but to usher in what can be. Keep moving, keep guiding, keep transforming, because through you, God is doing something new. The spiritual intuitives. You were born with eyes that see beyond the surface and a soul that hears what silence tries to conceal. If your birth falls in November, you carry one of the rarest spiritual gifts, the gift of divine intuition. You are one of God's spiritual intuitives, entrusted with the sacred mission of guiding rebirth, not only in yourself, but in the lives of those you encounter. Your life is not about chaos or noise, it's about clarity in the unseen. Have you ever felt like you just know things before others do? As if heaven speaks to you in whispers while the world is shouting in confusion? That's because you were born to see with the eyes of the soul. You are not simply emotional, you are spiritually attuned. Your discernment runs deeper than mere instinct. God has placed within you what 1 Corinthians 2:10 describes as the Spirit who searches all things, even the deep things of God. You have access to spiritual depths others overlook. And though your words may be few, your awareness is vast. You often detect lies that haven't yet been spoken and recognize truth before it's confirmed. Your intuition is not guesswork, it is spiritual vision. You read between lines, feel the tension no one names, and walk through life carrying a sacred alertness. This makes you essential in the kingdom, a quiet guide in the fog. You are like the prophet Elijah, who heard God not in the earthquake or fire, but in the still small voice. 1 Kings 19:12. That's how God speaks to you, subtly but unmistakably. And yet many misinterpret your stillness. Some may label you as distant or withdrawn, but what they see as aloofness is actually observation. You're constantly perceiving, absorbing, aligning. You speak when necessary, but you always act with precision. That restraint is not fear, it is wisdom. You don't waste energy, you conserve it for what truly matters. Have you noticed how others come to you when they're confused, unsure, or spiritually lost? That's no accident. Your very presence acts as a compass. You help people make decisions that feel more aligned with who God created them to be. Not by controlling, but by gently illuminating what they could not see on their own. You are like the moon in a night sky, not the source of light, but the one who reflects it in the dark. Your calling is not loud, it is delicate but essential, to awaken what has been dormant, to bring to light what needs to be revealed, to protect what must remain hidden until its time. You are a guardian of wisdom, a vessel of truth, and a protector of paths that are still forming. Proverbs 4:7 says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting get understanding." You don't just carry wisdom, you distribute it in doses people can handle. Consider Marie Curie, born in November, a pioneering scientist, the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, and the only person to win in 2 scientific fields. Her work with radioactivity changed the world, but it came through deep, quiet study. Intuition turned into impact. Like her, you were not born to be flashy. You were born to uncover truths buried beneath the surface and use them to bring healing, clarity, and change. But let me ask you, have you been doubting your sensitivity, dismissing your intuitive nudges because others don't understand them? Don't silence your gift to make others comfortable. What God shows you is not only for you, it is meant to liberate, guide, and heal those around you. Trust that your spiritual radar was placed within you for a reason, and that reason is holy. You are a living compass, a revealer of paths, a guardian of sacred truths. The world desperately needs people who are not deceived by appearances, who can discern between light and shadow, who recognize God's hand moving even when others see nothing. Your soul was made for this. So keep listening, keep perceiving, keep trusting what God shows you in quiet moments, because through you, destinies will be aligned, confusion will be cleared, and broken paths will be made straight. You are not called to echo the noise. You are called to interpret the silence, and in doing so, you will awaken a generation that desperately needs to see what only you can reveal. The bearers of the promise. You were born in the month that carries divine fulfillment, December, the season of the bearers of the promise. This is more than just the end of a calendar year. It is the sacred reminder that even after long silence, God still speaks. Even after long waiting, God still shows up. Just as Jesus entered the world during a time of spiritual darkness and silence, you too were sent to be a sign that light still overcomes shadows, and that God's promises are never forgotten. Have you noticed that your presence alone often brings comfort before you even say a word? That when you walk into heavy rooms, something begins to lift. You were chosen to carry the echo of the good news. You embody what Isaiah prophesied centuries before Christ's birth. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. Isaiah 9:2. That light now walks in you. It's not just something you reflect, it's something you awaken in others. Your voice speaks calm, your eyes carry kindness, and your spirit radiates a gentle firmness. You are not loud by nature, but when you take a stand, the atmosphere changes. Like Jesus, whose arrival in a Bethlehem manger shifted eternity, your presence carries holy weight. Even when you act quietly, the ripple effect is undeniable. You don't force change, you spark it. But let me ask you, have you ever wondered why people often come to you in their most desperate moments? Why they open up, cry, confess, or simply sit beside you for comfort? It's because the promise of restoration lives in you. You carry a hope that can't be explained by circumstances. You walk with an expectation that God will do what He said. And that faith? It's contagious. When people walk with you, they start to believe again. They dream again. They trust again. You are not just here to inspire hope. You are hope. Your mission is to console the weary, to speak gently to broken hearts, and to remind people that even now, God is not done writing their story. Romans 15:13 reflects the power you carry. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope. You live in that overflow, and it naturally spills into the lives of those around you. And just like Jesus, you may take time to act. You may watch and wait, not out of hesitation, but because you are discerning the right moment. But when you step forward, when you speak, when you move, everything around you begins to shift. The atmosphere aligns. Confusion fades. Light activates. Consider the life of Emily Dickinson, born in December, one of the most brilliant and introspective poets in history. Though quiet and often unseen during her life, her words continue to pierce through time, igniting reflection, healing, and insight. She once wrote, "Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul." You carry this same poetic force, gentle but powerful, reserved but transformative. Your light doesn't scream, it guides. So let me remind you, you were created to shine, even on cloudy days. You are a living reminder that the promise is still alive. You don't just carry hope for yourself, you reignite it in others. Your life is an answer to someone's quiet prayer. You are the gentle proof that God still fulfills His word, still redeems stories, still brings joy after long sorrow. So keep shining, keep walking in hope, keep being that lighthouse others search for when they feel lost at sea. The promise you carry is not just a word, it is your way of life. And because of your light, others will find their way back to God. You were not born by chance. Your arrival on this earth was not a mistake, nor was it left to fate. The day of your birth, the very month your soul entered this world, was written in the eternal records of heaven, long before anyone counted your first breath. Your birth month is not just a number on a calendar, it is a prophetic code, a whisper from eternity, a divine signal pointing toward your purpose. Have you ever wondered why certain patterns follow you, why you carry a specific kind of strength, or why your heart is drawn to certain people and places? It's because your birth month carries an anointing tailor-made for your mission. Heaven never does anything without intention. Each month carries its own rhythm, its own spiritual frequency, and you were born into the one that matches your soul's calling. When you begin to understand the meaning behind the time of your birth, everything starts to align. Your gifts, your trials, your instincts. Even your deepest wounds begin to make sense. They aren't random. They are part of the preparation for the role heaven designed you to fulfill. January anoints you to lead when no one else dares to begin. February blesses you with peace that softens hearts and restores broken places. March strengthens your steps through chaos, making you a lighthouse in storms. April breathes resurrection into you, calling you to rise and help others rise too. May clothes you in unshakable faith and makes you a stabilizer in trembling times. June gives you the vision of a builder, crafting foundations for generations to stand upon. July marks you as a revealer of truth, a voice that dares to ask and awaken. August connects your spirit to the sacred, anchoring heaven on earth through your life. September appoints you as a divine organizer, bringing order and purpose to disorder. October moves you like the wind, subtle, transformative, calling others into change. November gives you sight beyond sight, discerning paths and protecting what's hidden. December wraps your life in promise, making you a beacon of hope in a weary world. Each month holds more than memory, it holds meaning. You were chosen not in spite of your month, but through it. It does not confine you, it reveals you. It unveils the divine code that God placed inside of you before you were ever formed in the womb. Jeremiah 1:5. And once you understand the spiritual atmosphere you were born into, you begin to understand why you feel what you feel, fight what you fight, and carry what you carry. So the question is not, why was I born when I was? The question is, what has heaven already assigned to my soul through this sacred time? Because your birth wasn't just the start of your life, it was a signal from God to the world that something needed to change. And you were the answer. Never forget this. Your life is not random, it is revelation. You are not just a product of time, you are a messenger of divine timing. A light, a gift, a voice, a mission, all embedded in you. And your birth month, it was the first clue. You may not see it clearly yet, but everything you need has already been placed inside you. Heaven has not left you lacking. God has not overlooked you. What you carry is not missing. It is simply waiting for divine timing to awaken it. And now that you've begun to understand what your birth month reveals, you can begin to walk with sharper focus, deeper peace, and greater purpose. Do you realize the weight of that? That the timing of your arrival on earth was not random, but intentional. That even your month, often dismissed as just a number, was divinely selected to carry clues about your spiritual assignment. You were not left without guidance. You were given a blueprint. And as you align your steps with this revelation, You begin to live not by default, but by design. You can pray with greater clarity now, because you know what your soul was made to do. You can serve with greater confidence, because your mission is becoming more visible. You can live with stronger faith, because the timing of your life is proof that heaven has already gone ahead of you. The world is noisy and full of distraction, but you were never called to blend into the background. You are one of the chosen, and chosen ones don't drift through life. They move with meaning. You were not sent to be invisible. You were sent to fulfill something eternal. Your life is not an accident. It is an answer. And even the month you were born in speaks that over you. This message isn't meant to trap you inside a spiritual label. It is meant to awaken you, to shake you out of spiritual numbness, to remind you that your origin is in God, and God wastes nothing. Not time, not pain, not details, not you. Ecclesiastes 3:1 declares, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." That includes your birth. It was a chosen moment, set apart for a divine reason. And though you may not know everything now, you don't need to. You simply need to begin. Begin to walk with greater awareness. Begin to see your history with new eyes. Begin to pray, not as a beggar, but as one called by name. Begin to serve, not out of obligation, but out of purpose. Begin to grow, not randomly, but intentionally. Let this truth settle in your spirit. Heaven has not forgotten you. In fact, it never did. Long before you ever spoke a word or took a breath, God was already calling you by name. Isaiah 49:1 reminds us, "Before I was born, the Lord called me. From my mother's womb, He has spoken my name." You are not invisible. You are not lost in the crowd. You are not late to your destiny. You were sent on time, with purpose, and by divine design. The day of your birth was a holy appointment, and now, chosen one, it's time to live like it. As we come to the close of today's message, I want you to take a moment to truly reflect on the profound significance of your birth month. It's not just a mark on the calendar, but a divine clue to the purpose God has carefully woven into your life. The month you were born carries with it a unique spiritual frequency that speaks to your gifts, your calling, and the powerful mission you've been sent to fulfill. When you understand the deeper meaning of your birth month, you unlock the secrets of your divine calling, revealing the path God has set for you. You're not here by accident. You were chosen, and every part of your journey has been intricately designed for a greater purpose. This is more than a message about astrology or simple coincidences. It is about the divine blueprint of your life. Think about the challenges you've faced, the talents you've discovered, and the people who've crossed your path. All of this is divinely orchestrated, and it all begins with the unique moment God brought you into this world. Have you ever wondered why you were born in the specific month you were? It's not just about timing. It's a part of God's plan to prepare you for the extraordinary destiny ahead of you. If this message has resonated with you, I invite you to show your support by donating through Super Thanks. Your generosity enables us to continue sharing these life-changing messages and help others understand the truth of their divine calling. We are so grateful for your support, whether through your donations or simply by being here with us today. Each and every one of you plays a vital role in this community of faith, and we are honored to walk this spiritual journey alongside you. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with anyone who might need encouragement or guidance in understanding their own divine purpose. Your actions help spread the message of God's love, truth, and calling to many others. And don't forget to leave a comment. We love reading your thoughts and hearing about how this message has impacted you. May God bless you abundantly in every area of your life. May He continue to reveal His purpose for you, and may you walk in His light with confidence and courage. Remember, you are chosen, you are loved, and your divine calling is unfolding before you. Keep moving forward with faith, knowing that the best is yet to come.